The 2026 FIFA World Cup is proving to be an exclusive VIP concert.
Accommodation, transport, food, and of course, ticket prices, the most expensive in history for fans.
In a world where football is supposed to unite nations, a single question is now echoing across stadiums, airports, and living rooms around the globe. Has the game's biggest celebration become too expensive for the very people it was created for? The countdown to the 2026 FIFA World Cup is supposed to be a moment of excitement, hope, and global unity. Instead, it is increasingly becoming a story of rising costs, growing frustration, and a widening gap between football's promise and its price. From ticket counters to travel websites, from official sales to resale markets, one pattern is becoming impossible to ignore. Watching the world's biggest sporting event live is now a luxury that many fans simply cannot afford. At the center of this debate is a sharp rise in ticket prices. The World Cup has always had different categories of seating, with Category 1 offering the best views along the sidelines, Category 2 placed in less central areas, and Category 3 positioned higher up or behind the goals. Historically, this system was meant to make matches accessible to a wide range of fans. But in 2026, that balance appears to have shifted dramatically. Reports from ticket sales show that Category 1 prices for major matches, especially the final, have reached levels never seen before in World Cup history, even after adjusting for inflation. What makes this even more striking is that the increase has not been uniform. While lower categories have risen moderately, premium tickets have surged far more aggressively, creating a steep gap between standard access and luxury viewing. Experts in sports economics describe this as part of a wider trend in global entertainment, where premium experiences are increasingly prioritized. According to analysts, major sporting organizations are learning from airlines, streaming platforms, and concert industries, where pricing is adjusted based on demand and timing. In simple terms, the better the seat and the higher the demand, the more expensive the ticket becomes. But behind the economics lies a much bigger reality. Demand for the World Cup has never been higher. FIFA has reportedly received around 500 million ticket requests for just 7 million available seats. That imbalance alone has created a level of competition that guarantees rising prices. For comparison, the 2022 tournament received fewer than 100 million requests, meaning interest has exploded in just a few years. FIFA has also confirmed that a limited number of lower-priced tickets, around $60, were made available across the tournament. However, those tickets represent only a small fraction of total availability. For most fans, especially those hoping for high-demand matches, the reality is very different. And yet, even this imbalance does not fully explain what is happening in the market. A major turning point in this World Cup cycle is the introduction of dynamic pricing. This system allows ticket prices to change based on demand during different stages of sales. When demand is high, prices rise. When demand slows, they can stabilize or even drop. For many fans, this system has felt unfamiliar and unpredictable. Prices that start at one level can quickly move beyond expectations. In some cases, Category 1 tickets for the final reportedly began around $6,400, then rose to approximately $8,700 and later crossed $11,000 as sales progressed. For ordinary supporters planning months or even years in advance, such shifts can completely change travel decisions. One football fan from India described how these rising costs forced him to change his plans entirely. He originally hoped to attend matches featuring top teams like England or Portugal, but the cheapest available tickets for those games were already far beyond his budget. Instead, he adjusted his expectations and chose a more affordable match, simply so he could still experience the tournament with his family. For him, the dream did not disappear completely, but it was reshaped by financial reality. This is where another major layer of the story begins: the resale market. Once tickets enter secondary platforms, prices often move far beyond their original value. In some cases, tickets originally sold for a few $100s are being resold for several thousand. In unregulated markets, especially across parts of the United States and Canada, there is little restriction on how high prices can go. In contrast, other regions have stricter controls, limiting resale to face value or requiring official exchanges. This creates a fragmented system where the same ticket can have completely different value depending on where it is resold. Analysts estimate that the average resale price across categories has already climbed into the thousands, with final match tickets reaching multiples of that figure. FIFA has stated that its official resale system is aligned with global industry standards, but critics argue that the combination of dynamic pricing and open resale markets has created a system that naturally pushes prices upward. On some platforms, the organization also earns fees from both buyers and sellers, adding another financial layer to each transaction. But tickets are only one part of the story. For most fans, the true cost of attending the World Cup is not just the match itself, but everything around it. Flights, hotels, and internal travel between stadiums often exceed the price of the ticket by a large margin. Recent estimates show that international travel alone can cost thousands of dollars, depending on the origin country. For fans traveling from South America, Europe, or Asia, long-haul flights with layovers are often unavoidable. Once accommodation is added, especially in major host cities where hotel demand spikes during the tournament, the total cost increases rapidly. In one calculation, a fan traveling from Argentina to attend a group stage match in the United States would spend several $1,000s when combining airfare, accommodation, and tickets. For fans from countries with lower average incomes, these numbers represent a significant financial challenge. Even domestic transport is becoming part of the cost burden. In several host cities, transportation authorities have raised prices for match days. Train journeys that normally cost a few dollars are being multiplied several times over during the tournament period. In some cases, fares have increased to nearly 10 times their standard rate. This means that even fans who manage to secure tickets and flights are still facing additional financial pressure just to reach stadiums. Local infrastructure, rather than FIFA itself, is often responsible for managing this demand, but the cost ultimately falls on fans. Faced with these rising expenses, some supporters are finding alternative ways to make the experience possible. One fan living in Boston, originally from Iraq, has taken a more creative approach. Instead of attending just one match, he planned a road trip across multiple cities, documenting the journey through social media platforms. By combining travel with content creation, he hopes to offset some of his costs through sponsorships and online engagement. His strategy reflects a growing trend among younger fans, where attending major sporting events is no longer just about watching a match, but also about creating content and building digital visibility. For some, football has become both a passion and a potential economic opportunity. Still, even with creativity and planning, the overall cost remains overwhelming for many. When combining flights, hotels, tickets, and local transport, the total expense for attending just a few matches can reach nearly $10,000 for a single fan. For those following their national team throughout the tournament, the numbers rise even further. A full tournament experience, from group stages to the final, can reach well beyond $30,000 depending on travel routes and accommodation choices. These figures place the World Cup in a category closer to luxury tourism than mass sporting attendance. At the same time, FIFA expects to generate around $13 billion from this tournament cycle, making it the most financially valuable World Cup in history. This reflects the growing commercial power of global football, where broadcasting rights, sponsorship deals, and ticket revenues continue to expand. But this growth also raises an uncomfortable question. As the business side of football becomes stronger, what happens to its original identity as a global public sport, accessible to everyone regardless of income? The tension between these two realities is becoming more visible with each passing tournament. On one side is the argument that modern sports require modern pricing models, driven by demand, technology, and global interest. On the other side is the belief that football loses something essential when it becomes financially out of reach for ordinary fans. This divide is not just theoretical, it is visible in the choices fans are forced to make. Some delay personal purchases, save for months, or sacrifice other expenses just to attend a single match. Others give up entirely, watching from home while prices continue to rise beyond their reach. And in some countries, even the cheapest available ticket represents a significant portion of an average person's annual income. In lower-income nations, the cost of attending a World Cup match can approach or exceed a month's salary, turning what should be a shared global experience into something financially distant. As the tournament approaches, the excitement around the World Cup remains undeniable. Stadiums will still be full, cameras will still broadcast across the world, and unforgettable moments will still be created on the pitch. But behind that celebration, a quieter story is unfolding. It is the story of fans calculating budgets instead of cheering freely, of families choosing between travel dreams and financial responsibility, of a sport that continues to grow in global value while becoming increasingly selective in who can experience it in person. And so the question returns louder than before as kickoff approaches. In a tournament that promises to bring the world together, who is the World Cup really for?